Yes, we are here. Stefan, welcome from Copenhagen.
Thank you. And thanks
Welcome
for
to
having
the
me.
coaches room. And I would like to say that we are in a coaches room as well, but we are in the stadium, Mark.
Yes. Looking over the field.
Yeah, and
location.
we have a perfect location, and we cannot quite see the angle where a lot of action happened last weekend, but we'll not go into that.
No, it was a big weekend, but not very positive.
No. We just, if people are watching this, it was a big derby here last weekend from the first team, with a lot of stuff going around the match, and during the match, part of the stands broke down. Luckily, nobody was harmed, but of course, it's not the situation you want around the match. But okay,
no, it's not the way you want to present yourself as a club, but it happens, and hopefully find a solution soon, and next time better.
And it's not the aim of this discussion at all. So we'll leave that for the people that know stands, and we know. Hopefully, we know youth football a little bit better. Stefan, you are in a meeting room at the club.
Yeah.
Do you have also a coaches room where you get together at the club, or is there like a meeting that you have?
This is a meeting room. Then on the other side of the hall here is the under-19 coaching office. So I just walked across the hall, and then different kind of offices down the hall. But here the academy and first team is in two different buildings, separated by two training pitches. So so the 19th office is here, and then the coaching office for the first team is actually on the other side of two pitches in another building.
Okay.
So,
well, that means, if I think about it practically, you are, your official title, I forgot actually, but I have the feeling that you are the high potential coach. That's something that I remembered all the time. Working with the talents from, let's say, U17 till U21, roughly.
Yeah, we call it player development coach, and it's it's mainly based on the under-19s, so responsible for the individual development pathway in the under-19s, with the special focus on what we will call top talents in the under-19. So help them to progress through the other side to the first team, and then be a part of their time in the beginning of the time in the first team, but easily in that time handed over to the first team coaching staff. And we also have another guy which then are more focused on those players when they are actually in the first team squad. So players which are a little bit more in between two teams, maybe they train mainly in the first team, but they get the main playing time in the under-19s.
Okay, but it means, think about your practical situation now. You're close to the U19's office.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to be at the first team regularly, and maybe switching literally between offices sometimes.
Yeah, I have my normal spot in the under-19 office, and then I walk across sometimes to be part of the first team sessions if it makes sense. For instance, when many of the youngsters from the 19s, if they are participating, or just if one is participating sometimes, but if it makes sense in terms of being close to him during those sessions and seeing him on the next level in those sessions, to always be updated on what is his working points, what can he do on the next level, what can't he do, is there something new who comes up in those sessions. So some walking across.
Yeah, no problem. A pretty similar situation, can imagine for you, Mark, that you have your own team, of course, the U21s, but there's a direct connection to the first team and also the teams below.
Yes. But it's not like I'm directly connected to the first team.
Okay.
Or, I'm not involved.
No.
I'm in contact with the staff, but of course, when players go across, then we have contact and we evaluate what they did.
Yeah.
But it's not on a weekly or daily basis.
Okay, so it's pretty separated. You have your own group that you focus almost as same as a youth team, that once in a while a player moves on, or maybe a player comes back.
Yeah. On a game day, mainly on game days, sometimes a first team player comes and plays, but then I hear that during the week, and then mainly the communication goes through the head of the academy, and I speak with him.
Yeah.
And he speaks with the staff of the first team. But if we really evaluate on how the player did, then I will speak with the head coach.
Yeah. Okay, understand. Okay. How do you second year? We said before. Okay, Corona was. We can almost skip that year. How are you experiencing coaching this age group? It's a very specific age group that they are in transferring towards seniors, etc.
Yeah, it's a good. It's challenging because different from before. I did a U15, and from a U15 team going up to U16 or maybe even U17, like 80-90% of the team continues their way inside the academy. So a lot of success there. But here it's the other way around. 90% of the guys don't make it to the first team. So I think that's the challenging part. At the other side of the story is that guys are older, and I think it's not only on football that you can influence them, but you have also a big part around that, and how they live for their sport, and how they develop outside the training. So I think that's I like that part also.
Yeah, so it's more coaching them in life almost.
Yeah. I think when they are young as well, but now it's a bigger part of the coaching. I think.
Do you recognize that, Stefan? That way of coaching with that age group?
Yeah, a bit. The difference between here and I think in the Netherlands is that you have actually an under 21 team. We don't, which means when you are done with the U19s, you either go to the first team, you go on loan, or you find somewhere else. But actually it's a big discussing point in Denmark at the moment, because what do we do with those we want to keep a little longer, because they maybe need 1 or 2 years more before they are starting to compete for playing time at the first team. But we can see they have the potential, but they have only the reserve league to play in, and the reserve league is not competitive. It's sometimes it's almost a full under 19 team playing. Mainly they are in the national team breaks, which means that some players are away with the national team, so they mainly don't play in the club if they're too old to play in the 19s. So it's a big discussing point how to work around that in Denmark at the moment, actually. And I think the development here has been that the U19 squad in Copenhagen is getting younger and younger. You can more say it's actually an U18 squad more than a U19 squad. So, for instance, we moved 5 players to the first team in the summer. 4 of them they are actually now U19, but before the summer they were U18. Only 1 of the 5 was actually done with being on the under 19 team. So they are moving earlier to the first team, but they are also moving earlier from the 17s to the 19. So it's more like players at the moment is between 15 and 18 years old we work with. So, but especially with those at 18, I experienced some of the same things.
What is the biggest effect of that players move on faster? Less time to develop, more pressure in the early age. What is the main effect, or what's the main issue that comes with that?
The main issue is, I think it's actually sometimes outside the pitch. So in relation to what Mark just said, because they move on because they're good enough. So the problem is not on the pitch, but there can be so many other aspects of the pitch. For instance, it can be habits in the gym, because some of them, they progress so fast during the youth time. So when they have to learn how to have good habits in the gym, how to work in the gym, because you start that later than you start many other things on the pitch, they haven't been through that, or haven't been through a time enough with that. That could be with just one example. Then it's just you change from a more process development environment really early into need to win every game, especially in this club. So you need to win every game. It's a high performance. Results matters so much, but you're still young, so you still need to develop. How do we ensure that you develop football-wise if you don't play that many minutes? And trainings is often you play Sunday, you play Thursday, you play Sunday. So many of the trainings is recovery, match preparation. How do we make good trainings for those guys who are not playing every Sunday and playing every Thursday? So I think that's some of the issues we try to work around at the moment and try to create good solutions for at the moment. But it's not easy. It's not easy. But I think we have a lot of good projects at the moment, or processes going on, but there's also still a long way to go. But the main thing is they move on early because they are prepared for that. Yeah, they're good enough.
Okay, so if I hear it, so the first day, let's say until 15, 16, they learn what the first steps of becoming a good professional player or becoming an adult player, and then there's a step in the middle that's kind of, okay, we need to learn how to train and how to develop. That step is almost skipped for talented guys, of guys that move on faster.
Yeah, I would say maybe not how to train, but maybe how to live more, how to live as a professional. Yeah, maybe that. And some players, they have it because they are maybe raised with that from home, but others, they don't. They have to learn it, and they have to use experts around them to learn it. And some of them, they skip that step. And it's just, in general, it's not an issue if you are aware of where the player are when he arrives at the first team, for instance. But if you are not, and you don't have that communication, and you're not clear, so when we send a guy there, that we hand over all that information, so they know what is this guy. And then basically, so many different things can happen when they step into that environment. Some go straight into starting 11 and start playing from day one, and others, they have a longer way. How do they deal with that? Maybe it's the first time they are facing not playing from the start. How do they deal with that? Is there a guy who picks them up there, and how to handle that? So there's so many things that they need to learn in that period of time when they move on. So we need to ensure that they have the possibilities to learn it, especially those who might not just go straight on. And that's not for everybody just to go straight on.
Yeah. You were nodding while he was telling this, so it's pretty recognizable again, I think, for you.
Yeah,
or
I
you
can
agree?
relate to what he's telling. Yeah, it's exactly what I mean. When you're young, 14, 15 years old, football is the thing you love and love doing. You're good at it. People tell you that, and you feel that, and you experience that, and you continue your journey to become a professional football player. Somewhere around 14, 15 years old, you reckon like, hey, maybe
I can make it, maybe, yeah.
Maybe this is what I want to do the rest of my life. Then you become 18, 19, and the discussion that Stefan is talking about, this discussion we had a few years ago in Holland, and that's why we decided to restructure the academies, because we also had a U19 team as the oldest team in the academy until 2 years from now.
Yeah.
And now this is the second year we have a U21, because like here they said the talented U18 players, they will make it to the first team when they're U19 at least, maybe even earlier.
Yeah.
And the other guys who need some extra time, those are the guys who need more than the U19. They need that second or third year even to become
more mature.
Yeah, and that level.
Yeah.
And so that's why we restructured. And also here, a few young guys went on earlier, and some guys are still here in the U21, hoping and working for their chance. For their like almost second chance maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the risk is that people or players get distracted and see the success around them for other players, and they get disappointed, and that you have to manage, and that's challenging. It's a nice challenge, but challenging.
It's part of the goal, part of the job as a coach in that phase, for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
So, if this question to both of you, by all means, feel free to ask questions to each other as well. I'm not going to be the mediator this whole talk, but so this is well, it's a problem, challenge, whatever you call it. What is your solution in that case? So, coaching life is, and coaching maybe the performance life, maybe that's an even better word, but one part of it. And how do you do this in a daily way? We talked about the personal development plan before we started to start recording. What are the ways to help the guys in this process?
Yeah, it's every individual is different. So for every person, every player, but first he's a person. It's different. The right tools to help him. For me, what I try to do is try to see and try to evaluate which personality the player has. What are his needs? I think now more than when I was a younger coach and a coach of a younger group, I had less experience than I have now, and my trap was to take too much my perspective.
Okay, yeah.
Like, this is what I want from you. This is what you have to do. Nowadays, I try to look to the player and say, okay, what are his needs? What does he need to learn, and which personality does he have? And from that starting point, then you start to make choices. And for some players, the growth is needed on the pitch. Some players are on the pitch, their skill level is already high enough. The physique is there. They can make the intensity that they need. They have the strength, but maybe the personality outside the pitch, like Stefan said, maybe they're not aware that training in the gym is important. Maybe some guys have trouble being on time. It's all depending also what's the background of a player. And so for every player, you see the person, and from that's what I try to see and try to start from.
Yeah. So, and is it literally sitting down with him in first time that you get to know him? Because at one point it's the first time you see him, and of course maybe it's not the first time, but during those first week, just trying to get to know him, make time for him, just getting to know the guy, and learn and see what's behind the player actually.
Yeah. Before I worked with Feyenoord, and there I did an introduction talk with all the players. I went to their house and meet the parents and see which environment they are living. And I had a very good feeling about that. It made it very easy to work together. And also the players saw a side of me as a coach, more as the person that I am instead of the coach. And it helped me throughout the whole season. And this is what I did this year as well with my U21s. Yeah. Last year as well, I started to have an introduction with them, and they choose a spot and a moment, and we just had an hour and a half, a talk about life, about where they're coming from, what beliefs they have.
So per person is this?
Yes,
each player has 1 hour and 1 hour and a half. He sets a date. He literally sets a date with you. A one-on-one could be dinner, could be coffee, whatever they want.
Yes.
And then they sit down with you.
Yeah. And from that on, know which at least you don't know from 0 to 100 what he's about, but you have a view on the player, and from there you can start.
Yeah. It breaks the ice also a little bit. The barrier is a little bit gone from coach to player. Can imagine. For
me, the coach that I am, it also helps that they see me more in the role as a human being, not as a role as a coach who makes the first 11 and who is criticizing them maybe on a moment that they don't like it or that they have another opinion. Yeah. So I think it creates a bond and an understanding.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you drink coffee with your players, Stefan?
No, I don't. But I like the idea. But I agree that every person is different, and that's also why every case is different in terms of developing. So I agree with a lot of the things being said. I think we don't have those one-to-one talks. Obviously, we have one-to-one talks, but I think here it's you start to know them when they start to train with the team, and that goes both ways. In terms of 17 moving to 19, and then 19 moving to first team. Sorry, just caught my phone. But we have a quite detailed handover between the coaching staff when they progress to the next level, in terms of analysis on how he is as a footballer, but definitely also how he is as a person, how he responds to different form of feedback, different form of stress situations. Is there any issues outside the pitch, or how is he behaving outside the pitch? So we're not only concerned on how he performs on the pitch, but also who is he, as Mark says, as a person outside the pitch. And then, especially when they move from 19s to first team, I think the reason why I, for instance, always go with the first team on the training camps in the preseason, it's so they have, a guy they know. So when they are maybe afraid of asking the questions to the head coach or one of the assistant coach, then there's no boundaries towards asking me. It doesn't cost that much in the beginning. And then when they start to learn in those 14 days in the preseason camp or during preseason, they learn the coaching staff in the first team. They start to learn to know them. Then the boundaries is easily broken down. So that's more, we have some resources, coaches resources, which we invest in that transition from one team to another to smoothen the way. And then, of course, I think, just when they train with the team, also just to learn new teammates, for instance, I think that's also a way to break down those boundaries, because they get to sit in the same locker room. They get to share some things. We use mentoring, especially on the first team. So older players take care of the younger guys, the new young ones, to introduce them to stuff and maybe say, and now we go here and come grab a coffee with us, or whatever it might be.
Do we underestimate almost that part of players coming into a new team? Because it's so normal. You are a good player, you want to go up. Okay, then you go up to the next team, or at preseason, they come into a dressing room with 25 other guys. But it almost comes with every age. If you're a U13 and you're good and you can join the U15s on a Saturday, do we sometimes not forget that they are coming into a group that they don't know, and they feel maybe they were the star of the team, and now they are let's say the youngest, and they fully have to what's the English word, prove themselves in that phase again?
Maybe we underestimated a little, but I think it's also a good case in terms of development, because when they progress, and maybe they were the star, the profile of the normal age group team, now they start to maybe struggle, they meet tough times, and that's a good opportunity also for us to work with some coping skills, to learn them how to deal with that. So we should also see it sometimes as an opportunity to develop the player, not only on the pitch, but also off the pitch, in terms of coping skills, to cope with things not being as easy or as smooth as they normally are when you are with your normal age group. Because that's also a part of talent development, to suit them so they can have a long career when things get tough, and they can deal with stuff when things get tough.
Yeah, I agree. I was also thinking a little bit about my younger kids. For younger kids, it's also a completely bigger step than when you go older and older, and you maybe used to these steps. Because our kids, maybe with the first time we bring them to school, they find it exciting or anxious. when you go older, you already had several of these steps. So if you are a good player of the U13s or U15s, you've probably been to maybe a national team or a local selection or whatever. You've kind of a little bit maybe aware of that process already. Okay.
Yeah, maybe. I think for some, I see some who progresses really faster into it, and others they take more time. I think it's also to do with the person. Sometimes some guys they're maybe a little bit more quiet and takes longer time and need to feel a little bit more safe, and others just steps into the room and takes the room, and then it's more easy.
Yeah, interesting.
Maybe something to add there is also, I believe as well, the person is a big part of that, but I think an even bigger part is the environment the player steps into. If it's a safe and open environment, and the way you talk about it at the club, that's amazing. I can also imagine that young players coming up to the first team in not as safe as environment as you talk about it. For example, no mentor. It's a talented midfielder playing on the spot of the captain who is getting old and maybe not as good as he was. Maybe one example that maybe one time happened. How is he invited inside then?
Yeah,
is
could be
he
almost
welcome?
hostile that you're. Yeah,
I myself I went for a trial when I back in the days when I was playing myself, and always when we had a trial player in my team, I was often surprised about the level that the guy brought. That I was thinking like, how did they get these guys? How can this guy be good at his team? He's so nervous and he's not bringing anything, adding anything to the game that we are playing. But then I came in a situation that I was the trial player myself. I went to Hungary, and not many people speak Hungarian, so me neither. And also in Hungary, not many people speak English, and I speak a bit German, but also not many people speak German. They speak Hungarian, and that's one of the most difficult languages. So I stepped into a dressing room, and everything was a mystery to me. There was only one guy, the team captain, who spoke proper English, and the rest was terrible English. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what they expected. And normally I was a pretty confident player, but there I noticed that my confidence went down the moment I stepped in. I made a little mistake. I was wearing the colors of the rival club.
Okay.
I didn't know. I didn't do my homework back then. So that wasn't the best choice, but I wasn't aware of it. Nobody told me anything. So I came in, and from minute one, I didn't feel comfortable. And I noticed in the training that things that normally went by itself were a struggle. So that showed me that the environment you step into it, of course, it's about who you are, but it's also, do you feel welcome? Do you feel safe? Can you be yourself? All those things, I think, is a big part of how a player acts and the level he brings.
Yeah, well, I think we all agree on this. How do you now, because you've been in that situation as a player, you actually played there. Still, you got the contract there. That's maybe good to tell anybody. So you didn't fail, but still, it made a big impact, and it's, I think, something you learn from now as well as a coach. Maybe when the U17 or U19 player comes up, it's maybe something you think of, not maybe on a daily basis, but you realize this can happen. How do you create as a coach then an environment for a player, a safe environment?
Yeah, nowadays it was mainly about the language, because I didn't understand anything that made me very separated from the whole process of the team. Plus, the moment I stepped in, it was in a preseason, 3-4 weeks until the first big game. So everybody was, some players were willing to leave and working for that. And so it was also a difficult situation there. But what I come back to the question, what I've learned is when I get a trial player, especially when he's from abroad, I take time for him, and I tell him what I expect. my expectations. Tell him that if there's any questions, ask me or ask if he feels more comfortable the players. So yeah, I at first I thought, hey, trial player, let's see what he can do. Now I make him feel welcome. I make him feel comfortable, and also tell him always first day I don't judge. First days, getting used to the way of training, the intensity, the boys, the grass, the ball. Just feel comfortable, and the second day, then we start to see if the guy is good enough or not. And also I judge him on the difference between day 1 and day 3, 5.
Is it almost the same?
Yeah.
When you joined the first team, you also kind of in that role almost.
Yeah, we have players in the academy from Iceland, Sweden, Norway. We have one guy from New Zealand as well. So there's also players from abroad here. But the good thing about having more than only one player from abroad is that you have guys who's been through the same process. So we actually do many of the same things, but we also, connect the guys in the dressing room with someone who has been through that as well. So
something that you do before. So okay, Joey, listen up. There's going to be a new guy tomorrow.
Yeah.
Can you take care of him? Is literally that's what happening?
Yeah. That's what is happening. And I think the players, they are more than willing to help, because I totally agree that has to do with the environment. They felt the same welcoming when they came as well. So they are willing to help the new guy as well, to give something back. So that is actually what is happening. Take him to the pitch where we train, just explain him where do we eat breakfast, take him to breakfast, make sure he's walking with you on the pitch so you don't feel alone the first couple of days. And then during that period, after a certain period of time, they mix together in the dressing room. They have found their peers in the dressing room, and then things are going more easily. But especially in those first days, that they have someone who they can ask, all those small questions. So you don't have to take them on a tour. You take them on a tour, but they are maybe a little bit nervous and thinking about 100 other things. So they forget, all those 100 informations you tell them on that tour around the club, so that they just have a guy next to them in the dressing room, which they can ask all those small questions, just to make them feel more welcome. I think that's quite a big help for those guys in terms of maybe know what's going on and be able to perform on the pitch, maybe not from the first day, but then quite quickly afterwards.
Great.
So
I had to think about the guy that Stefan Posma, who did a session with us about goalkeepers, and he said the step for goalkeepers, but maybe you recognize this, is sometimes even bigger because they are young players coming up playing against mature guys that can hit the ball so much harder. They are in this isolated position with a different rule set, that gap was even bigger for them. But is it something you recognize?
I'm not an expert in the goalies, to be honest, but for sure we had a quite young goalie going on the training camp this summer, and you could see that, okay, he's a good goalie, but he was challenged in, especially, when they hit the ball, how they're able to strike the ball with the power they're able to strike the ball. But he did quite good, but still you could see, okay, this is something, this is a different ball game.
As a player, you can maybe hide a little, or maybe go into the team. In a possession game, you can position yourself that you are open, but not maybe almost, so you get a little bit less attention. As a goalie, you are...
Yeah, you're vulnerable in small-sided games and stuff like that. Of course. In that way, it's difficult to hide. Also, you're isolated in training with the goalkeeping coach and the rest of the goalies, so all eyes on you all the time. So maybe they actually have a little bit tougher way.
Yeah, I think in a game situation, like in a training game, then when you're young as a goalie, you can be a hero or a zero. And everybody's nice. Everybody's nice until you are the reason that they lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can imagine. I don't have that experience. More as a personal experience when I was a player, that they're like the third goalie was mainly a young guy, and when he made a mistake, I didn't want to be him.
No.
But no, not. I don't have that experience as a coach.
It's just the whole story. And I think the gap could be even bigger for them. And there's always a specific role they have, and they get judged so hard, especially if it's 5-5 last minute. They are under full pressure, even though it's a game. And as a player, you can walk off. It's like, okay, I don't care. But the goalie, yeah, you are the reason or not.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Sure.
And Stefan, how was it for you? Not for coach, for players we talk about, but how is, because you've been an assistant, you worked your way up the age groups, and then all of a sudden you found yourself being an assistant at the first team. I think maybe you had the same age as the players, I can imagine.
Yeah, some of them were older than me. So yeah, that was quite.
How was that for you?
At first, before you experience it, it's something you use some thoughts on, and how will they act when a younger guy than themselves try to give them feedback or coach them. But what I experienced is that if they feel okay, this guy can help me, then they don't care about if you are 25, 45, 30, 50. They just, then they are open. But you need to prove yourself maybe a little bit more. Also, I don't have a former career as a player, so I've just studied the game and worked my ways up, as you said. So maybe you need to prove yourself a little bit more in the beginning. But when you have done that, then I didn't experience anything where they was like, okay, we don't listen to this guy. They were more than willing to learn.
Did you try to prove yourself extra? Did you work harder, or did you show more? Did you put more attention? Was there a way that you wanted to use it?
Yeah, in the progression was quite fast. So I was on the 14 coach, and then I was moved to the 19 as an assistant. And then I was only half a year assistant on the 19s before I was promoted to assistant in the first team. So I almost went from coaching under 14 players to coaching senior players who were competing for the Danish championship, trying to go into the Champions League as well. So that was a quite big step. So I actually I had a talk with the sports psychologist in the academy. What is it that you evaluate yourself on? When have you been performing well as a coach, and when have you been underperforming as a coach? Set 3 goals for that, and to evaluate myself every day. I've been on the training pitch in pre-season, and that helped me a lot, because then I had something to hook onto, to say, okay, you're on the right way, or you need to adjust this a little bit.
So you evaluated yourself? Is that what I hear? So
yeah,
it's sitting down with a pen and piece of paper and just writing.
Yeah,
okay,
then I just
I'm satisfied on, and this is what I can do better.
Nah, more that I have 3 bullet points, which is what is the headline was, what is important for you as a coach. And then I had 3 bullet points, and then I tried, to tick the boxes every day. And if I didn't tick the box, then I needed to reflect on why can't I tick this box today? What do I need to improve tomorrow? And then, of course, when you go there, I think it's like maybe. I haven't tried this, but maybe it's like being the new teacher in a classroom, that there will be somebody who's challenging you at some point. So be ready for that, and maybe they will challenge you a little bit more. But be prepared for that, and then it's easier to maybe start a little bit more strict and then open up during the way, than to start a little bit loose and then trying to be strict afterwards. So that was kind of the idea or the tactics, to say.
Did it play out the way you wanted?
In general, yes. Obviously, you always have things where you think, okay, here you should have done this and this and this instead. But in general, I think it worked out the way I wanted it to.
And you found yourself on a pitch also at one point, moving up. How was that process for you?
Yeah, not as fast as Stefan.
You just pretty fast.
Yeah,
So
it's
in
great.
2 years from U14s to the first team. Okay.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Before we were talking about the route of a young coach that you should start quiet, and I don't believe in that. I also don't believe in the perfect career, or do you
No,
need
no.
to
Just to
play?
explain, we were we had I don't know who said it actually. It was Edo that said it would be humble. Yeah, yeah.
Joop,
Joop. Yeah, Joop from
PSV.
PSV said. And okay, first learn and work your way up the ranks and listen and then she said, I kind of disagree on that. If you have something useful to say, just be there and stand up for yourself.
There's no truth in football. The only guy who's right is the guy who's at the end of the 90 minutes winning. And if you as a player are part of the win, then you are doing well. If not, then you have to evaluate why I wasn't. And that's what Stefan does every day, I hear. For me, myself, I have a...
Yeah, and then then you have winning as in 3 points, but you've also winning and having a successful day, which is also a type of winning.
I think the art of developing is making it measurable every day. So, like Stefan, I have a personal development plan myself, and I have I have 5 bullet points during the week, and I have to check them every week. And some bullet points are on a daily basis, some are every week, once or twice. And this I also have a team development plan I have as well. So I have to take the
do you want to share those 5 points? Are you willing? Then then you have to share your 3 as well.
I have no secrets on that. For example, it's from small things to big things. Small thing is that I want to be 15 minutes before the players are on the pitch. I want to be outside, to be in contact with my players.
Yeah.
Because my pitfall is that I am on the laptop until 1 minute before, going into the details of my training and adding or deleting something from preparation. So I want to be in contact with the players, and
while they are doing their own freestyle warm up, juggling the ball, you can walk around.
Just check them. How are you? I want to compliment the team once a week with something they did well, something I was surprised by, or something I was proud of, or something I thought wasn't that good in the past and it's good now. Every year I let the players fill out evaluation about me.
Yeah.
And it's anonymous, of course.
Then it's safe.
Yes,
it's safety rules. Yeah.
And from that questioning came that last year was also due to Corona, of course. They found the training could be sometime more variation in the training. So I check the variety of the exercises we do, and like every week I have a week plan and a day plan. And then I check back, did I do the same, or how did I put some variation in the training stuff we did? Now, for example, one of the things is I have the team development plan, and the thing I talked about with myself is what's in my plan is that I keep that document alive in the group. So every week, or actually every day, I have to talk about the plan. And if it's a question, or is it, I have to...
It could be in the dressing room real quick, or somewhere on the pitch.
I have to refer to the plan of the team. Are we working on it? Are we developing? What do we need to adjust? The fifth, difficult by head. From I don't know. I don't know at the moment.
Okay, not the one that you check every day. That's obvious.
Shouldn't be. Otherwise, you should know it.
No problem. Let's go to Stefan's 3 if you want to share them, and then we can go back to maybe the 5th if you remember.
And just to to clarify, I don't use them anymore. I used them at that time. So
matter,
actually,
I like the story because it was your step in that new role, which helped.
Exactly. So, but that means that I have a little bit hard on remembering all of them. But the most important one I can remember, that was to bring your football knowledge into the new environment. So just as you guys were talking about in terms of this different pathways or developing, that if you have something to say, then bring it on the table, no matter if it's for the players or if it's in the coaching staff, because you are there for a reason. You are there because somebody within the staff thought that this could be a good addition to the staff. So bring your knowledge to the pitch, to the office every day, and don't be afraid of speaking up if you don't agree or if you think you have a way to solve an issue or coaching to a player. Also related to that, coaching older players. How do older players react on feedback? Maybe you think, okay, he's older than me or whatever. If you think you can help him, then you need to try to help him. So that was the most important one I had. Besides, trying to just be who I am. Don't think about too much what other people think about you when you are there. Be yourself, because that's what brought you there. So that's the two of them. And the third one, I asked Mark, I don't remember the third one.
The last one that you're saying is, I went wrong with that completely. I think I already said it in the podcast. So I was an assistant coach. I became a head coach of a local club. The whole reason why I became head coach was that the players felt safe with me. There was a good connection. Of course, I knew some football, but that was the main reason that the group wanted me to move on. And then maybe a little what you said, okay, you have to prove yourself also a little. But I was so focused on proving myself that I became this dictator on the pitch, which was completely the opposite of the reason why they chose me. So, yeah, and it's not who I am. Okay, I'm a little bit the dominant guy. I think maybe Mark is also a little bit on the pitch. But
a little bit away.
But so very dumb. So I like being strict in sessions, but outside of the pitch and also in between or whatever. Yeah, I want to build a relationship, and I was completely overruling myself with the strict version. So I was not myself. I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but at one point, the captain and one of the leaders of the team, who I connected very well, said, "Okay, you have to stop this, man. This is not you. This is not necessary. You are the coach. Don't worry. We listen to you anyway." But it was interesting. So being yourself, I can completely relate to that.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, but a little bit dominant. So it could be a trap for you as well.
It is.
It is. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I need to be 15 minutes before, that the players also see me as I can be okay and nice and relaxed as well.
Yeah.
But on the pitch, I'm very demanding. So the fifth point actually was, if I have a stop in my training, for example, I want to train my 11 against 11, and I want to train on the game intentions or principles or upcoming opponent, then I want to take back the stop moment. So I want to have a check moment.
Okay.
You stop, for example, ball goes to right defender. I want my left attacker to press from inside to outside. And then, sometimes in the past, I forgot to check it again.
Okay.
And take back the moment to say, okay, from a game situation, like, okay, stop. This is exactly what we spoke about.
Yeah.
This is what we want.
Yeah.
So that's the fifth.
Pretty recognizable. When, as a coach, maybe, I don't know how you see Stefan, but you're mainly focusing on the points that are going well.
Yeah,
and as soon as something is going the way it should be, you forget it. Because you can leave your focus off it because it's the right way, but that's actually when you should focus on it and compliment. And it's like, this is exactly what we want.
That's why I have this point in my
okay
plan,
it's a pretty daily check
because it's that's the biggest trap for me as a coach. Every day wanting the players to do better than they are able to or willing to can be a kind of burden on the shoulder of a player. So that's why I invest in the relationship, like Stefan said, coaching all the players is a problem when they're not opening up to your feedback. If they are not willing to hear feedback, they hear criticism. And when you are giving them criticism, they don't want to hear that. When they don't like you or don't have the feeling that, they don't have to like, but they have to have the feeling that you are having the right interests.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to work on from start. Yeah. Especially a demanding coach as me.
You forget that because you're staying in your strict mode and okay, now we do this. Okay, we accomplished. Okay, next step, and then sometimes you just need to relax. Okay, guys, just enjoy what we're doing now. Yeah.
And maybe not even the next step. I'm always focusing on that point on the horizon that you want to achieve, and then good isn't good enough because it can always be better.
Yeah.
And even better isn't good enough because you want it to be perfect, and it can be perfect, but you have to strive for it every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes if it's difficult for players.
What type of coach are you, Stefan? Two dominant guys we have here. But
I would say I put high demands on the pitch for sure, but I won't say I'm a strict guy. I can be if I need to be, but I will say I'm maybe from the sound of your talk, maybe I'm a little bit more relaxed than you guys. But obviously, high demands on the pitch. I think every coach who has ambitions for the individual or for the team needs to put high demands. But those high demands also need to be suited for, if we talk individuals, for the individuals, because what is high demands for one is maybe too high demands for one other, or too low demands for another, for a third guy. So I think that's also a way to put it, that as we spoke about earlier, everybody is not equal, so everybody shouldn't be treated the same way or have the same demands, because it's different. What is high demands for those different players, and maybe even in the same position. But I try to reinforce a lot. So when we see behaviors that we like, try to reinforce it a lot. Try to, instead of saying this is wrong, you need to do this. Obviously, you need to do that sometimes, but then rather, praise the good example if it comes, and if it doesn't, then you need to correct it. So maybe a little bit less strict than you guys seems like, but obviously high demands.
Interesting impression we gave.
Yeah, no, because I can relate to what you say about reinforcing the things you want to see by giving the right example, the attention that you want to give it, because then maybe the guy who doesn't do it the right way sees it, hears it, and thinks like, "Hey, I want it like that," and then he goes.
From science, we also know that they learn better when we reinforce good things than if we tell them that what not to do. So
1 to 5.
1 to 5 there. So
what is that 1 to 5? 1 to 5 ratio, or what is it? Something
ratio about 1 complaint, 1 criticism, 5 compliments.
Okay,
that's a good range. But maybe I don't always get there, but I'm aware. Learning.
Okay. And how about your own development? Whoever wants to step in, but so you know how to develop the players. You've been a coach for a while. Is it something you do work on daily? You have your development points. Well, every day you check your 3 or 5 boxes. I just heard. Oh, it's a joke, but how does that process look for you? Or how is that process for you?
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of
You're doing your UEFA Pro as well as part of your development now?
Yeah, I signed up for it, and now it's waiting, and I have a introduction talk, and then I do an assignment, and then they say if you are in or out. And,
it all depends on the vlog you make?
Yeah, the vlog. Yeah. I have to make a vlog.
Has to make a vlog for the.
So this is all practicing for the vlog.
Yeah. So you have a vlog of an hour and a half, so you can just send it there.
Exactly. And then I do cool parts in, and then
exactly.
out. No, yeah, I'm kind of busy developing myself because I try to lead by example, and yeah, I'm strict, but I try to walk the talk, and I can have high standards, high demands, but if I don't show up with it myself, then it's just empty talk.
Yeah.
So every day, and every day I want to be the best version of myself, and I evaluate that with my colleagues. Before training, we talk about what we're going to do, which roles we have, and afterwards we evaluate. And I'm always open for feedback as well. So it's a daily process for me. Like I said, for me, good isn't good enough; it can be better.
Yeah.
And better isn't good enough; it can be perfect. So that's how I try to be.
Okay, so it could be also a trap for you to be satisfied once in a while.
Yeah, it doesn't happen a lot.
We were walking up the stairs towards the setting. Asked how was the session. I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And I am very curious if we would have asked the players, how would you think would the session have gone? Maybe they are much more satisfied than you, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's always they now on an age that they see how my response is. So I have to also work on that to keep the emotion in, and also don't show it or through the sound of my voice or my body. But I think they weren't as happy as me as well. But yeah.
Okay, so it's daily pushing yourself, and does it also come with? And okay, you're signed up for a course which is going to be massively intensive if you join that. It's going to take a lot of your time. You're going to be in the routine of the association, etc. But if you do not have a course, is there a way that you read, or is that you have? Maybe I have set for myself, I go once a week, I go to the first team and join the session, or is there a way that you try to connect yourself with knowledge or different situations?
Yeah, I try to step outside the comfort zone, and yeah, like I'm doing now. This podcast, this is not one of the things that I like on a daily basis, but I think it's
I won't be
good for
here
me.
tomorrow.
It's a trip from where you come from. No, but so those kind of things, I'm looking for that. Yeah, but last week I was speaking with a friend of mine who works in football as well, and he's director of the youth academy at Twente Heracles.
Yep.
And he told me, what are you doing now? He asked me, what are you doing now on a regular basis to develop yourself? And I said, yeah, actually, mainly I'm talking with the people around me. He said, but they know you. So maybe it's time to step out of that small group of people.
Yeah, that circle, yeah.
And call people you know, use the people you know that you met, or to get connections. Is that there was a time that I drove every week or every second week to somebody I would like to speak about football. So yeah, that's first step I made was made a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah,
and from there my network maybe grows a bit, and
yeah,
that's something I are willing to do.
Okay, so you realize you came to a point. Okay, I need some outside knowledge. I need to be maybe pushed in some directions I wouldn't push myself, or gain some things that I would never expect.
Yeah, I believe outside the comfort zone, there you get the most.
Yeah. It's you, Stefan?
I think as a coach, you quite quickly get into this wheel of everyday work, and there's a lot to do all the time. So if you want to have some time for your own development, if you're not in a course or doing online courses or whatever, then you need to put it into your calendar, because otherwise things will just eat you, because you can always work a little bit more. You can always watch some more video of the training, study some details. So I put it in my weekly calendar to have, an hour or two where I discuss football with some of the guys I know, which is not working in Danish football, just to get other perspectives. At the moment, we have for instance, one of the two assistant coaches is Spanish in the first team. And then not that I use to go talk with him, but to have his perspective on different things. It's interesting because it's just another way to see things. As Mark just said, when you are together with the same people all the time, you also, you start to see things the same way. So sometimes you have another look on the game or on how to lead or coach, or then obviously there's all the tactical part of the game. As a coach, you study your own game, your own team's game. You study the individuals on your own team, but also to have time to maybe look at some other teams, big teams from Europe, or smaller teams from the big 5 leagues who defend in a certain way, which you think, okay, they're actually competing quite well in this league, even though they don't have a big budget and they don't have the biggest stars in the team, but they do things in a different way or in an interesting way. So trying to find inspiration for those 2 hours, even if it's talk with some people or if it's just watching some football you maybe wouldn't have watched otherwise. And then obviously it's, being open for the inputs from your colleagues and discuss trainings, game situations with your colleagues. And I think we have a good process here in terms of, trying to reach for the next step for the team. So how do we deal with this game situation? How do we deal with this game situation? Is there something different we can do if we experience troubles in or issues in the game? How can we solve this issue? And that's also for me developing, because you gain something which you can use in another time, in another club or in another place, if you are a head coach or whatever.
Okay, so that's almost more of a of a football development moment that you have for yourself.
Yeah.
Is there also with you? I hear a little bit more of a personal development style almost, and of course also football. But you also said, okay, before I went to the first team, I had a talk with the sports psychologist of the club.
Yeah.
And I talk, okay, how do I attack this situation? Well, how do I use this situation? What process should it be in? Is this something that you do maybe on some basis, that you sit down with somebody? Okay, this is what my personal development looks like, or
no, not on a regularly basis, you can say, but we have on the under 19s, we have a sports psychologist just for the 19s. So I use him for sparring in different situations. I have, being able to ask questions to, facilitate a talk or to get the players to reflect. It's so difficult. So I use him there a lot. When he's in the room or during a conversation, I always ask him afterwards, what do you think? How do you see the questions in terms of getting the players to reflect? So it's not like, we have this monthly meeting where we sit down and evaluate stuff like that, but I use him on a weekly basis to get some points on other things than football tactics and football, but maybe the coaching part more. And also, try to, have a relationship with him where he knows that if he has something which he thinks I can improve or should think about, then he can go to me and tell me without me being, you should not interfere with this, or then trying to be open for that dialogue as well. To have that.
So practically, he's in some, like in a team talk or during a session, whatever, he's in the same room or he's in the same area, and he just watches the process, and then afterwards he comes to you.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what I see, or why do you do this, or whatever, or the other way around. You ask him, what do you think? Yeah. Did you ever video tape yourself, or did you ever make a video of yourself of these talks?
No, actually never. But at some point when I was in the younger teams, we recorded this session, obviously with video, but also with mic on the coach. So you can hear what you are saying to the players. And that's quite interesting. Yeah, it is, but it's also quite interesting because you hear some things where you're saying, oh, okay, why did you say that? Or what was the point with this? Or so it was actually quite interesting in terms of how are you acting as a coach, because I'm sure all of us, we don't remember all the things we said during match or trainings, and maybe the tone you said it in, or whatever it might be.
You remember if it rained a couple of hours ago when he was on the pitch? So he was in the zone completely. Yeah. So when you're in the emotion or when you're in the intensity, it's a primary reaction or emotion sometimes that just comes out.
Yeah, sometimes it is, but to be honest, I try to stay away from the emotions, because that's usually, it's when I was younger, I was a lot in my emotions, but I try to put them away, because they usually blur, or what you should call it, your view of the game. But sometimes it's not possible, and football is also emotions. So sometimes you also need to show emotions as a coach. You cannot maybe not just be all stone face through the whole trainings, because the players also need to feel you as a coach, excitement or frustration or whatever it might be. I think they need to feel that as well, that it means something to you as a coach as well.
You emotional?
No, actually, like Stefan says, my intention is to keep a clear view on what's happening.
Is it almost a control that you want to keep?
Yeah, but also true what he says about sometimes players need that emotion from a coach. We had our second match this year. It was we were like controlling the game until there was a personal mistake, and we were 2-0 up, and it was 2-1, and it was like 8 minutes game left, and I then immediately see the energy going down, and the opponents getting the energy back, and so 8 minutes of survival. I have a very young team, especially for the U21, and I have a lot of U19 players, or even younger, a few U18 guys. So energy was running out. The fear of giving away the result that we have also does something with the energy. So at that time, I can be very rational and say like, oh, we should play 1-4-3-3, or maybe we should change the dynamics of the formation of the team. But I think in that moment they just need my energy. So I was going crazy at the sideline and helping them sprint and go left and go back and come on and be a motivator. It's not my style, but sometimes it's needed. So I try in the ideal situation, I sit down, see the game, do the tactical adjustments that are needed, and enjoy my players. But in a game situation sometimes, or in training, something different is needed. And I believe that every person is able to do his max plus a few percentage, because there's somebody pushing them. And that guy is mainly me. In a perfect world, it's the players themselves motivating the other. But
we are also part of the process. It's not. It's, you can say it's the player's process, but it's not completely true. It's also your process. It's what you literally live for, and you want that win as bad as they are. And if they don't win, nobody's judging you. That doesn't matter, and you're not judging the players. We all know that. But at the end, also, if you can help them get the win,
and especially the winning also is good for development, because when you win games, you gain confidence. People who are confident perform better, so you see better results on every level. So of course winning is important, and players need to learn that winning is what it's about. Nobody goes to a stadium and says, oh, 5th game in a row we lost, but what an amazing game. Nobody does that. Everybody's gonna boo you out and off the pitch and say, come on guys, you need to win. And if you have 2 ugly wins, then people, the 3rd win you get on an ugly way, they say, maybe it would be nice when they play a little bit better. But the first 2-3 times they don't
care. They don't care. Can imagine. Yes, Stefan, in Denmark, at Copenhagen, how is that relation to winning in your age group? Is it something that's being part? It's part of that last phase of becoming a pro. Winning is
for sure, for
us here, of course.
Yeah, for sure it is. The expectations when you go to the first team is that you become Danish champion. That's the expectations from the beginning of the seasons, from the fans, from people inside the house, from the players, from the coaches, from everybody. So your favorites, every game you play, the fans expect you to win. So if we don't raise the boys to those expectations that you are favorites every time and you need to win, then we would not do our job well in terms of making them have a chance to succeed in the first team.
Is it also something that already is there in the youth? Oh, you're a Copenhagen youth player. You come there in the blue and white. They already judge. That pressure is already on. Like the same here in the Netherlands, you have that when you probably play in Ajax, PSV, or Feyenoord shirt. When you come there, you're supposed to be the best player. The crowd is a little bit more against you. As a youth player, you grow up. It's the same for FC Kopenhagen.
Yeah, we say that it's in the walls in the building. It's like it's just something which is here. But in Denmark, it's for a long time been this. It's not a discussion, but like either you play for winning or you play for development. But for us, it's like one is not canceling the other out. You can develop and still playing for winning. That's not two things who is totally opposite. So obviously we try to develop and we want to develop. We play a certain way because we believe that's how we develop the players the best for what comes ahead in the future. But it's not like we just go and play and say, oh, we see if we win or not. We want to win every game because that's how it should be. So for us, it's not like, those two different separate things who cannot be connected. For us, it's for sure connected that you play for, it's development to play for winning as well as Mark just said.
Here at NEC,
we don't have the position in our football country like you guys have in Denmark.
I don't know the situation, but you were a pretty dominant youth academy.
Yeah, from our perspective and from our
related to budget and the size of the club.
The last 10 years, U19, we, for example, won more games against Ajax when we played at home than we lost. I think 9 out of 10. We didn't lose, and even a few wins. But we were very dominant in the way of playing, very defensive, very close organization. So in that way, yes. But I think the step that you make from younger youth to older is maybe in younger youth department, you make a choice to play from weakness to develop. For example, a good center back, you put him on the midfield because he has to be faster.
Yeah.
Maybe for the game result on that day, it's not the best, but for the future, it's the best. On a U19 level, probably you will put him on the position that he's
the best. Yeah.
So it's not a choice of wanting to win or develop. It's just playing to your strengths or playing through.
And develop your weapons.
Exactly. Like Kobe Bryant, one of my motivators and inspire my sources of inspiration, says like when he was young, he was playing for his weaknesses and playing to develop them. When he was older, his weaknesses became his strengths, and he was tearing out the league when he played.
Yeah. So that shifts also during age groups, and like you said, you are both in this phase that players go for the last step. So winning is a crucial. It is a very big part, and it's the reason why they become a pro player. And that's when people come to watch pro players because they win. It's almost as simple as that.
And about showing your weapons. What makes a head coach taking you to the first team and putting you into his start 11? So every day you have to perform.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what happened. Nobody cares if you slept good or what happened at home. Perform.
Yeah. It's also Kobe Bryant's mentality of that, right?
Mamba mentality.
Yeah. Is it you went into his philosophy and his books, and is that something you did?
I never had I wasn't on his level, but the way he thinks, the way he act, I can relate to that a lot.
Okay.
Because his obsessiveness about development and becoming better. I wasn't that crazy, but I was pretty crazy at the time. I lived like a monk the first 26 years of my life, becoming the best football player I could be.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that ended at a very young age. And now as a coach, nowadays, first as a father, because I have 2 kids, and also it takes a lot of time. I try to balance that. But as a coach, I do everything in my power to develop. And, I believe in that.
Great. Stefan, is there some philosophy or a person or something that inspires you? Or maybe
No.
it's Michael Jordan? No. But
no, not in that specific way. I don't think so. I
what
get
does
my
inspire you?
what?
What does inspire you?
Oh, that's a lot of different things. I think.
Big question. Sorry, I know.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be colleagues, close colleagues. Sometimes it can be something you watch or see or read. I find it in many ways, and yeah. So I'm actually not some. Don't have stuff like that specific.
Okay, so but you read. I wanted to get into books anyway. So is there a book that you're reading now that you think, okay, that's something that every coach should read?
I think I have like on the mythology side. I think people should read the book Complex Football. It's quite interesting. They go through Victor Fraud's tactical periodization and Paco Cerullo's training in Barcelona. And then the Xavier Tamarit also wrote a quite good book on tactical periodization. And then if people are interested in football history, Hungarian actually also, there's a book named The Names Heard Long Ago, which is quite interesting book in just football history back in 50s, 60s. Yeah.
You're nodding. Do you know it?
No, I know Hungarian football was big in that.
You played there, so you
Puskás and Lajos Détári and those kind of guys.
Okay.
They're big in Hungary.
Yeah,
it's quite interesting because it's many of the concepts which has tendencies in modern football today, they have been used earlier. So it's just reinventing the concepts from back in the day. So it's quite interesting to see those parallels, that the false nine is not invented with Lionel Messi in Barcelona against Real Madrid. It's actually something from a long time ago, which just been reinvented. So that's stuff like that. I find it interesting, because you also find inspiration in maybe how to solve different tactical solutions, issues in modern football.
Okay, great. Are you a reader besides the books of Kobe Bryant?
Yeah, I'm a reader. Yes, but at the moment, the last 3 years were like a roller coaster
with kids.
With kids, and I went.
Stefan is laughing because we made fun of him that he only has 1 kid, so his life is easy.
Yeah, easy. Enjoy it. Enjoy the quiet moments.
Yeah, not about it. You cannot relate to this, man.
Well, but reading, I cannot remember when was the last time I read a book and didn't have to worry about maybe you have to step in and help. So and like you said, Stefan, you're on that wheel every week, focusing on your own team. So you don't have the what I take from this podcast with Stefan is I should block my agenda for a few hours to work on my personal development and inspiration. What I do mainly is I put on the background podcasts or some inspirational, motivational speeches. Kobe Bryant. I like the material of Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
start with why.
Yeah.
Why leaders eat last. Those kind of podcasts or inspirational videos. That's what I do to inspire.
To inspire yourself. Yeah.
And the books I've read, they're not really football. Yeah, of course, the book about Guardiola gives a very nice insight in
His way of working.
His working life and how he thinks, and those books. Seedorf, football icon in Holland, winning the Champions League a few times. Those kind of books. Beckham as well. Also a guy with a very specific, limited talent, maybe, but very specific. How he ended up being the biggest in what he did, and those kind of things. Are very interesting for me to read. But
can relate to that when you.
Less theoretical.
Using the time that you're in the car, or maybe washing, folding the clothes, or whatever. Then I can might as well do two things at the same time and inspire myself with the podcast. I do it all the time. Interesting. Okay, guys, I have a final question for you, and it's who should we talk to next, and why? Actually, also, maybe you thought about it.
I thought about it, and I have two good names, I think. One is a guy called Andrew Finley. He's now the head analyst of the Norwegian Football Association. But before that, he worked in the first team of Wolverhampton with Nuno. And before that, he'd worked in Manchester United with Mourinho and David Moyes, coming from the academy of Manchester City. Incredible guy, first of all, and so great in terms of the analysis part of the game, how to present and do stuff like that. So he's an interesting guy. And then actually, what?
Great profile.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then he's a top guy, funny guy as well. I work with him here in Copenhagen. That's why I know when I was at the first team. And then actually a former colleague of mine also, until recently, he left us because he became the academy director of New York City FC. His name is Morten Gran. So he's also, have an interesting take on player development, team development in the youth. Just also an interesting guy in terms of also
cultural mix as well. Now he's from Europe going to USA, where there's a completely different football environment, or soccer.
Unfortunately, I think he's still in Denmark due to the corona, so they won't let him in. But
working from home, developing kids in New York.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. That could maybe also be an hour of a talk. No, but that was the two guys I would like to mention. Interesting guys.
Okay, let's see if we can get them into the next session. And you?
Yeah, I thought about it as well. I had a short list, 3 names. I'm going to mention 2 of the 3. And the last one is the one I picked. Luka Lalich was an option for me. He's a head of academy now in Singapore for the City Lions FC.
Worked at Feyenoord as well, I think.
Worked at Feyenoord, was my colleague there. He has a very strong perspective on development, and very interesting guy. Young, ambitious, busy,
interesting,
very busy.
He's also in the wheel, like we all are.
Yes. And, but no kids. That's
it. Keep coming back. Okay, so he cannot relate at all. Okay, that's clear. That's clear.
And Rick Kost.
Yeah.
He was my colleague as well at Feyenoord. He's now working for the association in America.
Yeah, we actually already had him on the podcast, so we could talk to him again. Now he's experiencing American football, but he was a great guest. Yeah, for sure.
I want to say, but I think he's kind of busy, and probably people heard a lot from him. He's walking encyclopedia. Yeah. It's crazy, and learned a lot from him. And but the final pick is not that international, but it's my colleague here. And the reason I picked him, his name is Arjen Nijman. The reason I picked him, he's a very young, ambitious coach. He's also head of our scouting at the moment, recognition of talent. That's how we call it nowadays. And I think it's a personal favor to him, because I think it's good for him and his personal development to step outside the comfort zone. And I think he has a strong view on recognizing talent and team development and high standards. So
we should call him now, because then I don't have to drive back all the way. No, I'm joking.
I think you can get him that far that he will come to you guys. And next time we have lights, so you can try
great.
The lights out.
Great. We can move. We can improve our studio setting for sure. Okay, guys. If I see correctly, we were already talking for an hour and a half, which was predicted, but it flew by super fast. And, I really enjoyed hearing from you how you experience working with the player in this specific age group, but also how you experience it yourself, and where maybe your traps are, what you said, the way you mentioned it, or the way you develop yourself with the check boxes, which is super applicable for everybody. You can just take your coaching book and just mark it down every day. Okay, did I do it or not? It's even something you can do in daily life or work, whatever. So I really like that. And I was thinking, okay, do I have any time boxed in my agenda for my personal development? No. Am I in the wheel? Yes, for sure. 120% every day. So something I take out of this as well. So any maybe last things that you took, or any last words towards the people that are listening? What did we say?
I don't think I have anything other than it was a pleasure.
It was great to have you, Stefan. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. Thanks for sharing the info, and very learning experience for me.
Great.
I can talk on for hours and hours. So
we'll do it maybe next time. But then becomes your comfort zone. You want to stay out of your comfort zone, so shouldn't do it too fast. No.
You should find a new location.
Yeah, cool. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you a lot, and keep in touch and speak soon.
Speak soon.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye.